Very proud because before I started this job right here, I was homeless. I used to sleep under the bridge, and most of the streets that I'm cleaning up now, that's the streets that I used to sleep on. I'm thankful that they gave me opportunity. It's changed my life. I was homeless. Now I'm in the process of looking for a house to buy. Through this program, I came up with my addiction. Man, I'm so thankful. I thank the staff at Good Source for giving me the opportunity, man. They helped me out tremendously. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Good Source staff and the city of Orlando. The most rewarding part of this job is getting up every day and trying to keep Orlando beautiful, doing my part and making sure the community and the residents are happy with their areas are getting cleaned up, the streets are getting cleaned up.
Everybody had a good weekend celebrating the birth of our country. We have two meetings scheduled this afternoon. The first is our agenda review meeting, and that will be followed by our city council meeting. So I'm going to call our agenda review meeting to order and take note that items B14 and J4 have been deleted from this agenda. be heard at another time. And with that, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests for appearance to address consent agenda items on our council agenda for today?
Mayor, I have one consent agenda request, appearance request form from Veronica Boehm. Ms. Boehm, you will have 5 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name and address for the record. She will be speaking on item H1.
H1.
Is that still on the agenda? I couldn't hear the first ones that you said were no longer on the agenda.
B14 and J4.
Alrighty, so my name is Veronica Boehm. I live in Orlando, Florida. I just wanted to start off by saying I oppose this order or this agenda item as, oops, my screen just changed. So sorry. That I oppose this agenda item because I don't believe OPD needs any more money from any source. I want to also comment that per Mayor Deming's mandate, masks are to be worn in public, indoors and outdoors throughout all of Orlando. And the public just sat and watched this morning OPD defy that order during this morning's workshop. This is another example of OPD thinking that they are above the law. The idea of incentives were mentioned during this morning's workshops for officers to do the right thing. When the public hears the word incentives, what we hear is more money for OPD, like this agenda item. The public does not want any more money going to OPD. We want money going to the community in the form of community programs that target public health, housing, and education for the community, and not coming from OPD providing those initiatives. Divesting in OPD and reinvesting in Orlando's historically Black communities is what is truly progressive. It is said that there should be more accountability for the police, but Chief Roland continues to tell the commission that because of labor laws and the Police Bill of Rights, the level of accountability that there currently is all that there will ever be. Therefore, again, OPD's budget as it currently stands is egregious. The commission, in conjunction with Mayor John Dyer, is reinforcing excessive use of force and racism through the existing budget. So everyone also keeps saying one bad apple, it's just one bad apple, not all cops. But the full saying is one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. Officers like Jonathan Mills are allowed to have an increasing trend of racism and excessive force and are never removed from the force by Chief Roland. We heard at the last Citizens Review Board meeting that the officers were receiving nothing more than a verbal or a written reprimand. Chief Roland said that the public is essentially receiving $1 million gift in a box and finding a way to be mad about it. But what the public is trying to tell the council and OPD is that the box we are being given is empty. If anything, it's filled with monopoly money and is therefore useless. So again, I oppose giving OPD any more money in any capacity and from any source. So thank you so much for the ability to speak, and I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, Ms. Bowman, what was your residence address? I meant to get that at the beginning.
Can you repeat your question?
Just we require name and residence address at the beginning.
I said Veronica Boehm, Orlando, Florida.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Dyer.
Yes, ma'am.
The item that she's referring to isn't for OPD. It actually is what the community is asking, that we take monies from out of OPD funds and give it to community stakeholders that's doing work in the community. And so the Tough Biker Corporation is working with youth in the community, and we're taking funds from out of their forfeiture account. I just want to clarify.
But it benefits OPD at the end of the day.
It's money that OPD is spending on a community organization from.
Right, so that was kind of my point. So I'm just reclaiming some of my time that I yielded back. That I understand how we're going to change the rhetoric or change the way things are being phrased to make it seem like maybe OPD isn't getting the money or more money isn't getting funneled back into OPD. However, that's exactly what's happening here. That I understand that this is a community initiative, but what I was saying in my initial statement was that the community would like to see initiatives not be run or not be targeted from OPD. Therefore, OPD doesn't require more money. That the community would like to see more initiatives through public health, through education, by the people and the stakeholders who are educated in those fields. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And would point out that we don't run education and we don't run the public health components. That's the county and the school district. But okay, and that was all the requests, Madam Clerk?
Mayor, I have 2 hands raised. I'm going to give them an opportunity to speak if it's on an agenda item.
If it's on an agenda item, absolutely.
I have LaWanda. LaWanda, you'll need to state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. We need you to identify which agenda item you're speaking on. If you do not speak on an agenda item, you will be muted, and we will call upon you again during general appearance.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to speak on the agenda item that the last participant just spoke on so far as where the money is going to fund the community programming. I would also like to add my part to say that we don't want the police having that money or running those programs through there. The issue with the police is that they're not able to offer the equitable programming that is necessary. And that's also one of the issues that we're having is that the police have been loaded down with thinking that they are the hub for the community instead of the community having a community hub that runs through that. So I also would like to put in that on top of that, maybe that the commission, well, not maybe, I think the commission should put in place some kind of humanities board or allow people again to do something so far as a charter commission to enact such a board. That way they can have a safe place to run the money through that you guys are running through OPD to then run back to community organizations. I think that it's too much going on. And it's just, it's making the efforts that you guys are trying, I guess, to put forth to set things right, futile. When you're not listening to people and you keep wanting to do things a certain kind of way. So I'm suggesting that an outside agency that's not with OPD, doesn't have anything to do with that and specifically runs humanistic community programming, be funneled that money, and that way they can divvy out, okay, where it can go this organization, that program, and this organization and that program. And that police handle police things, the policing community, obviously they're not handling that well. So far as they've had enough time to fix the issues with community and policing. Also, there's been enough people in office, whether it be the sheriff, the chief, or whoever else, also the CRB board, that could have come up with programming that helps to create this, will close the divide between the community and the police. And they haven't been doing that. So to continue that effort just seems just ridiculous and stupid. So I'm suggesting reroute the funds. It shows that you're trying to get a proximity between a good community agency and the community, so that way we can get to the roots of the problems that the communities have been speaking on, which is they want the police divested so that they can have more of that funding to put on programming that helps the community flourish and grow. And we can finally get past some of these moments. I mean, we've been kind of working through this now for a couple of weeks, and for the life of me, I don't understand what's so hard, especially, and here's the thing, especially when other cities are doing this so well. Again, I go back to, are you guys inexperienced councilmen? I mean, Buddy Dwyer, you've been mayor now for 17 years. Isn't this hard? You can literally Google it, and you can literally even get the whole language on how to do this from other cities that are doing this better than we are. So I'm hoping that if you guys need a tutorial on how to effectively divest the police and give the money to the community, that you will refer to all the other cities across the country that seem to be having a much better time doing this than the city of Orlando. It's starting to look ridiculous, and you guys are starting to look ridiculous by not following suit. So I'm hoping that you will quickly change that. And again, help the city beautiful stay with the rest of the cities in the United States that are being progressive and doing things to ensure that Black Lives Matter. And they're doing things in a way that looks like they really, truly believe that Black Lives Matter, and not just, saying it and then doing what you want to do because you have another agenda instead of an agenda to serve the people. I yield my time.
And what's the next one, Madam Clerk?
Mayor, we have Charlie. Charlie, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes to speak, and we need you to identify which agenda item you'll be speaking on. If you do not speak on that agenda item, you'll be muted, and we'll call upon you again during general appearance.
Hi, my name is Charlie. I live in Orlando, Florida. I just want to add my voice to the agenda item that the prior to citizens spoke to. I am in complete agreement that we do not need to be channeling more money through the police, regardless of how it's being done. I know Regina Hill spoke on that matter. We need more investment based on what the community wants. And by listening to the citizens, as far as social programs, education, public health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Buddy Dyer, I know you spoke earlier about being a leader and leading the way. I believe what the lady before me said is by leading by example, we're actually kind of following by example by having to Google and research what other cities are doing to support the Black community. And, you know, I find it really interesting that even in this time right now, you're still finding ways to funnel money through the Orlando Police Department. So I would recommend maybe looking at other cities like Los Angeles to see how they're operating. And yes, I'll also echo my concern as far as the Citizens Review Board. Y'all mentioned in the meeting this morning that these systems have been in place, but now it's all of a sudden we have a lot of attention to it. But even the last meeting, it didn't seem like it was effective as far as holding the police accountable. So I really think that more work needs to be done as far as listening to the community. And I yield my time. Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, we will move to commissioners then. Commissioner Ortiz, you are first up. Do you have any issues?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Stewart?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I've got a couple of comments on item D2 and item B13, but B13 is the big one. There'll be a couple of things that we'll add. I'll mention it later on in the Four Roots people have agreed to it. But basically that there's a small corner of the property that has been kind of left as an orphan corner, and they've agreed to take that on as part of their rental agreement and also part of their maintenance. So that's a big deal for that community over there. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate John and his staff reaching out to the neighborhood. So that's all I have on that, Mayor, and I'll share some more at my time during council.
Okay, and Commissioner Roy mentioned to me that John's letter, I think, which is what you're referring to, has been attached to the agenda item.
Oh, it has been? Good. I'll go and check. Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Sheehan?
I met with staff last week, Mayor. I have no concerns, but I just want to say, I think we need to hold the folks that come in accountable. You know, Orlando's not an address, and I think that we have a procedure for a reason, and we need to find out, is that person our constituent? You know, is this someone we can reach out to? And I think it's only fair that people give their address, and Orlando is not an address. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes. Can you hear me? Thank you, Mayor. Just two things. I have been briefed by council, and I just have to say it. You know, just like I said, we want to hold law enforcement accountable. We have to those that are misreporting information. I have to hold those accountable. This is not funneling money. I don't know how I can say it any clearer. This is not for funneling money through OPD. These forfeitures are from folks that was in the midst of crime, whether it was monies, and OPD confiscated those funds, put it into a special forfeiture account that's mandated where those monies can go, not by the city of Orlando, but by the state of Florida. Now, we can't have it both ways. You can't say use some of the monies from OPD for community services and then say, wait a minute, you need to do more. I mean, At least this is a start, and this is a nonprofit that's working with children with monies that did not come from a city budget, that was confiscated, that I agree should go community versus purchasing things, which it can be done there at OPD. So I just like to say, I think this one, the folks got it wrong. This is a great vote. Hopefully we'll vote yes on it, to where I believe forfeiture funds, and hopefully we can see more of it. I asked about that, but and this is a good thing that we're not getting a whole lot of more forfeiture for funds, because that means that we're just not, out there beating the trees trying to arrest people and take their properties or whatever. So the monies that we have there, it seems like OPD is doing the right thing by reallocating that back to the community. So hopefully we can get more things on the agenda like this. So with this one, OPD did get this one right. And also I have spoke with Mr. John Rivers, but Commissioner Stewart, as we continue to move forward, I know it's just COVID, has everybody in a disarray, especially with trying to meet and do community engagement. But we got to remember that we share, even though it's in District 3, the promise was that this is also a District 5 Mercy Drive project, 4 routes, all those fields and everything over there with the recreation. So we started out on a good foot prior to COVID, where this 4 routes project, they engage my District 5 Mercy Drive corridor, and also your District 3 College Park. And I don't want, as we continue down this road, to separate the two, Mayor. So hopefully we'll remain engaged with both focuses on both areas. Right.
Well, my viewpoint is that both the park and the farm would bring the districts together.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. When that dialogue and conversation is happening, I like to be included in it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, if you'll allow me, the challenge of getting you connected is the state's laws for access. So I and a 72-hour notice moving on a fast schedule is best operated really through staff and not through having you and I have a joint meeting with 4 routes. So the whole goal of this really was to make sure that there's other property there. And frankly, when you look at it, because of where the property is, it makes a major entrance point from WD Judge. That's what we're trying to create. And I think we did a good job creating it. So I want to make sure.
I don't have to be in a meeting with you for them to address me and brief me on things that's going on and include me in the dialogue. So that's what I'm just hoping for as we move forward.
Okay, we'll make it happen.
Thank you.
Mr. Burns?
Thank you, Mayor. I've been briefed by staff and I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Gray?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. We started with Commissioner Ortiz, so that will conclude our agenda review meeting, and I will dismiss that meeting and wait for PJ to let us know when we can advance into our council meeting.
You're good to go right now, sir.
Okay, then let's call the July 6th, 2020 meeting of the Orlando City Council to order. Let's see, Commissioner Ortiz, you're going to offer the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance today.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to stand. It don't matter. I mean, you
remind everybody, be mindful. You might stand to the side.
Exactly. Let's all put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. During these times of confusion and miscommunication, we ask you to give us, this council and every member of the Central Florida family, wisdom, discernment, knowledge, and guidance for us to do what is pleasing to you. Give us a spirit of collaboration, tolerance, and understanding so we can work with each other, allowing love and camaraderie to reign even when disagreements may arise. We are all your sons and daughters, and we long for your intervention in everything we do. We ask you this in the precious name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortiz. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray,
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Here.
Commissioner Stewart,
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan. Here. Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Burns,
Here.
Mayor Dyer.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum with all members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item of business is consideration of minutes from the agenda review and city council meetings of June the 5th.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, we have no awards and presentations today, so we will go right into the mayor's update. And I've just got a couple things. I thought we had an excellent workshop this morning to talk about some of the policies that have been put in place related to the OPD. And we had a very candid conversation among commissioners, which I always welcome. So if you did not have an opportunity to attend the hearing, it still will be streamed on the City of Orlando site. And I would encourage anybody who didn't have an opportunity to attend that hearing to view it remotely on replay. It is with bittersweetness that I announce that our favorite city clerk, Denise, will be leaving after 25 years of service to the city of Orlando. And I want to take this time to thank her for her efforts and dedication. I can say that I don't think that the clerk's office and the Greenwood Cemetery and all things clerical related have ever been in better shape than today under Denise's very capable hands. And I'm very jealous of somebody being able to retire under the age of 50. That's as well. So Denise, thank you for your service. I'm gonna give you a minute. You want to tell us what you're going to go off and do?
Oh, nothing too exciting. I'm a new grandparent, so spending time with the grandbaby, and I'll do some traveling in my 40-foot bus that I have, and probably help one of my children or all three of them in some way or fashion. But just enjoying time off with the family and just living, in today's society and what's going on in the world. You just know what's going to happen tomorrow. So the stars lined up and it worked out for me to be able to retire, and I'm going to live. So
Well, we're going to miss you, but I would like to give you a virtual standing ovation.
thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
And council members, I know you've been advised, but we have selected Stephanie Hordacia in the clerk's office as our next city clerk. And she has extensive knowledge and Denise's blessing, and I know that she's going to do a fantastic job. So congratulations to you as well, Stephanie. And then one last piece of business. So we will have general appearance today, and we will be observing Robert's rules. So anyone who wishes to speak during general appearances should complete a request card prior to our vote on the consent agenda today. That will cut off the opportunity to sign up for general appearance. So I'm just giving you notice right now. If you want to speak at general appearance, go ahead and sign up. We vote on the consent agenda after the commissioner's comments. So that's probably about, I'd say 20 to 40 minutes from now. So go ahead and get signed up. There are 4 ways to register that are all listed on the agenda. We're going to allow an hour for general appearances, and that time will be divided by the number of registered speakers that we have. So that's all I have. We're going to move on to the consent agenda, and that's acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of the commissioners an opportunity to comment on the consent agenda, and we rotate the opportunity to do that. Today, Commissioner Ortiz is first up. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to be extremely brief this time, but the only thing I'm going to mention is that we lost a great police officer. He had just retired from the Orlando Police Department. His name is Eddie Torres. He came from New York. He was a police officer up in New York. We lost him last week, and he worked with our kids for a very long time as a school resource officer, and we went to the academy together. I've never met a more compassionate and peaceful man as Eddie Torres was. His patience was unparalleled. And he left a great legacy as a friend, as a police officer, as a family member. I just want the family to know that they are all in our prayers, and that everybody is really sad by the departure of Eddie. With that, I'll yield my time to the other commissioners. Thank you.
And I totally fumbled my mayor's update by not recognizing that it is Commissioner Sheehan's birthday today.
Oh,
So if you guys will unmute, everybody unmute.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Commissioner,
ready? Happy birthday
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Commissioner Sheehan. Happy birthday to you.
All right, I'm just saying, I'm digging.
Many more.
I'm really digging Commissioner Burns' baritone. I'm just saying. But Mayor, you never. Who do I share a birthday with? You said I shared a birthday with another mayor.
Mayor Frederick's birthday is today.
Hey, oh, cool! I didn't know that. Awesome. Well, thank you.
And happy birthday, Mayor Frederick. And that may have been the most out of sync happy birthday song. I don't think any one of us were saying the same word at the same time. So,
Well, I wasn't chiming in, so I'm just gonna say maybe I helped bring it together.
all right. On to you, Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you. I think also remember that we're being recorded. So you can play that back anytime you want to, Patty, but happy birthday. A couple of quick things I want to share with you. The first is I want to say thanks to Chief Rolone and his staff for the workshop today. Mayor, thank you for doing that. I think it was important for us to begin this kind of community dialogue. And unfortunately, with what we're doing with COVID, you can't do all the things that you want to do. But I tell you what, I think it was a good opportunity for us to share the things that we're doing and to hear some concerns that we've shared, that we've heard, to share with Chief Rolone. I so much appreciate the work of OPD and appreciate the fine men and women that we have over there. So I want to say thank you to them for that. We're excited about the construction of the new Rosemont Gym. It's a 14,000 square foot addition over to the Rosemont Community Center, the neighborhood center, I mean. And it'll be a central place. If you haven't seen the video we did, because the mayor was tied up, I had a chance to actually use the little bobcat and dig a hole. So thank you, Mayor, for not being there, because every time you're there, you get a chance to do it. But it was really nice, and we did a nice video and had a couple of kids from the neighborhood talk about what it means to them to do that. And I appreciate that. We begin construction, I think, next week. I think we put up the fences this week, and we should be open up in the middle of next year sometime. For our College Park residents, the College Park Neighborhood Association is hosting the virtual meeting tonight on Facebook at 7 p.m. I want to say thank you to them. There's been several organizations like that that continue to work hard on trying to make sure that the community continues to stay together. Tonight will be Representative Escamani and College Park Radio, Howard Salter will be talking a little bit, and I'll get a chance to share a little bit about the city's progress. Let me share this with you. As we navigate these waters, I know how easy it is to click on Amazon Prime and get items. But I want to remind everybody that Keep Orlando Indy is part of the Audubon Park Garden District. And it says as a regular to buy local. So I want to encourage everybody to do that. We have many of our restaurants and retailers are adapted to offer curbside service, delivery, in more ways, keeping our customers safe. Places like East End Market are even delivering all over the city on certain days. So you can get fresh bread, fresh squeezed juice, fresh cheese, and so much more delivered right to your door. So remember to shop local and support our local shops. Later on this week, we'll be announcing a central location for additional COVID testing in District 3. Look for that information on Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll get it out for you for next week's location. On the agenda item, I want to tell you a couple of things. Item D2, the Lake Fairview improvements. I want to give a shout out to our city park staff, especially Ken Pelham and Denise Riccio, for the work on the Lake Fairview Park Improvement Project, which will open up the shoreline to allow our city residents more access to this great property. Also, thanks go to Orange County for providing a $300,000 grant for this project. It was money that came from boat vessel registrations and has to be used within the county. Design's underway. I'm excited that the project is getting closer. And the last is item B13 I shared earlier about 4 routes. I want to say a special thanks to John Rivers and his staff for allowing movement on this project to take a pause so they can reach out to the neighbors that are joining them. That was an important part of the project, I believe. Also, I'll reiterate that this is a phased project. The first phase is going to be well within the tolerances of the zoning over there. And then as the next phase will come out to a more public meeting, and we'll be doing some of that. Look for an announcement sometime soon, a formal announcement. I say soon, in the next 6 months. And Commissioner Hill and I are going to work on that to make sure the communities are engaged in the what's going to happen over there at 4 Routes. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Sheehan, birthday girl.
Thank you, Mayor. And for my birthday present, I am asking everyone to please wear a mask. We have got an explosion of cases of COVID in Orange County. I've been pretty much, locked up in my house for the last 4 months, and I was kind of frustrated this weekend to see a lot of people. I only went to 2 places, and I was very frustrated to see people who were pretty in your face, not wearing a mask and invading other people's space and trying to make some kind of a statement with it. And I just think that's very irresponsible. We wear masks because we care about others and want to protect them. So for my birthday, I am asking everyone to please wear a mask. Please think about others. I wear because I care. And we need to start thinking about others and not just about ourselves, because there's no way we're going to get through this pandemic as a community if we don't start caring about each other. So happy birthday to me. Wear your mask. And I just also would like to congratulate Stephanie Hordosia. Good job, Stephanie. And goodbye, Denise. I guess you had enough with dealing with those crazy elections all the time. We all know how much fun those can be, but thanks for everything that you've done. I know we've had some real fun on canvassing board together, but I know you will enjoy your family time. We sometimes we forget that we work to live, and good for you. And on the agenda today, I also want to congratulate Commissioner Stewart, because I used to do dragon boating out of Lake Fairview, and it did need some improvement. And I think it's just great that the county is finally recognizing that Orlando is in Orange County and sharing some money with us for a change. So I think it's just great. Congratulations, Commissioner Stewart. And the Kids and Cops program, dragon boat program, runs out of Lake Fairview Park. Right. And it's just an amazing community, bringing together a community. So I think this is going to be great to make that better, for everyone. And I know we had some difficult, conversations this morning, and sometimes we need to have difficult conversations to grow. And as I've kind of struggled with some of the things that have been happening and I've been uncomfortable, a friend of mine said to me, Patty, I want you to think about how uncomfortable someone else feels. And, I really took that to heart. And something else she said really stuck with me. We often listen to respond. It is better to listen to understand. With that, I'll yield my time to Commissioner Hill.
All right, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan and Mayor Dyer. Again, happy birthday, Commissioner Sheehan. I know this has to be tough for you, as you said, you being a single person and they're in quarantine to a degree because of your underlying health issues, because I know you have a varied amount of friends and they love to celebrate you. And so I know it has to be tough, but we're thinking about you, and thank you for always being a good friend to me. And Denise, for some reason I thought it was Rich. So when the mayor said it was you, I almost fell on the floor. But I'm like the mayor. It's great when you could be so young and be able to go and enjoy your family. And we are in different times, and nobody know what tomorrow holds. But I just want to say you have been one of the most compassionate, intelligent, just caring people that I have met. I mean, you and Elena, I don't think there was any distinction really with Elena Brennan and yourself. You just have the same demeanor. You're just so kind and classy and beautiful inside out. And I'm going to miss you. We're going to miss you. And I just thank you for helping me navigate some of the different legalities and just, been a friend to me on some tough days. You just, your smile alone just kind of lifted me up. And, sometime I'm different. I know I'm different. And you accepted me regardless of my differentness, if so. So, and Stephanie, congratulations. We'll whip you right into shape, young girl. I'm just kidding. But anything that I can do to help you with your transition, Stephanie, please know that I'm here. And F1, when we start, I think I'm so proud to be on this council. And if you have a council that might not disagree and agree on everything, I think that's an ineffective council. So one thing we have been able to do is always work out our differences and always do what's good for the greater good, and that is the people. So I am proud to represent my district and work aside Mayor Buddy Dow in this council. And the reason I say that, Mayor, I think if we remember about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I got in a knockdown, drag out fight not almost, there at the dais. And it was with Commissioner Gray. And it was about one of the apartment complexes that we were going to be building there on Mercy Drive. And I was adamant that an African-American company get that contract, and it was our time. And, not saying that they wasn't capable, but the council decided to go against my wishes because they had a vote, and they went with the developer, Blue Sky Developers, and they have been a blessing. The council got it right. They got it right. That was the right company. They have been very engaged in our community. They are even putting more amenities, not just on their complex, but they're helping with a beautification gateway to opening up that Mercer Drive corridor. So I just wanted to use that as an example of, if someone saw this morning, me and Commissioner Ortiz have a great relationship, and it's all right to disagree. And after we disagree, guess what? We're back to doing the work together. So Tony's my guy. I know I'm Tony's girl, and we'll continue to move forward. And then we have our CRA 7, number 7. I'm really excited about that, and I'd like to thank Thomas Chapman in the Economic Development Department for this initiative. We've been talking about it, and they got it done, Mayor, and I know you helped implement this, so thank you. Where we're giving $6,000 stimulus to the small minority businesses in Paramore today. So that is going to help with rent abatement and those that are behind on their rents, so that there won't be a displacement of small minority businesses in Paramore. So this is a huge vote, and I want to thank you all in council. Hopefully I'll be able to get your support on that. Also, I would like to thank our recreation department and also our funds that we received there in our Paramore West Lakes area. Mayor, every summer you have a buddy summer showcase, and because of COVID, we had to cut back on participants there at our recreation programs throughout the city. So we won't be having a buddy showcase, but we have worked out with Kathy Ramsmith. Kathy, what's Kathy's? Ransberger. I'm saying It's Ransberger and Levon Bracy Jones that's over there. A partnership with them where today 25 of our city kids started their summer arts program over there, where they're going to be working with professional actors, actresses, singers, and dancers. And each week, Mayor, they will have a showcase. So hopefully you can join them one Friday for their showcase. And then Dr. Phillips has committed to go a step farther, because these kids were kids that the recreation department had seen a gift in, right? To those kids, they're just not fledglings. They were some of the ones that was highlighted in your summer showcases. And Dr. Phillips has committed to some of the kids that they see got that it factor. They're gonna give them a after school internship. So all school year, they will be attending Dr. Phillips after school program scholarships to hone their acting and dancing skills. So one day I think we might see one of Buddy's showcase kids on Broadway, or maybe over at Dr. Phillips as a intern for one of our Broadway cases. So that we have that. I like to say on June 18th, I participated in a virtual Moving Florida Forward. It was a conversation on racial justice held by our Florida Democratic Party and former Attorney General Eric Holder, NAACP Board Chairman Leon Russell, Attorney Benjamin Crump, and the Florida Congressional Delegation. So that was very informative. It was virtually attended. It was along with some of the other state leaders and activists, because as stated earlier this morning, some of these things are handled at a state level and others at a congressional level. So we were talking about the things that can be implemented from a state component. On Monday the 22nd, and I along with Commissioner Bakari Burns held our first annual two-part virtual community conversation where we met with many of the local activists and protesters. They presented us with a 10-point and 13-point plan. Many of some of the things in that 13 and 10-point plan we talked about this morning. That was in the 8 can't wait. It kind of complemented some of those things, and some of the proposals that we're gonna implement was also a part of that. So, and I know Mayor Dyer, you've met with many of those activists and protesters also. So thank you for that. And thank Commissioner Burns for assisting me with hosting those meetings, and especially a big thank you to our staff that put those things together. Jason Henry, Francine Thomas, Devin Singh, Justin Felton, and Jackie Conkerham. So thank you with that. Our partners at Valencia College, myself and them held our virtual skills training program that was facilitated by Mrs. Carolyn McMorrin. She's the Assistant Vice President of Professional Continuing Education at Valencia. Of course, we've started the Blueprint 2.0, and I'm proud to say, Mayor Dyer, if we started the program about a year ago up until now, we have had in that particular program 80 graduates, and I have all the numbers for you. 92% have been placed on jobs, so that is great. And I know in our new norm, part of my focus and their focus is to see what kind of new programs we can do virtually or with limited physical contact, because we know many of our jobs, especially in our hospitality and spaces, in our entertainment spaces. Right now, we're not going to be filling those. So now our focus, because of your support last year, not knowing we were going to be at this space, is truly focused on retraining, training, and jobs. So that's going really well. Jacqueline Carkerham, which is our project manager with partnership with the Urban League, has been doing amazing. We have a job fair that will be coming on. Actually, tomorrow we'll have our first virtual job fair. And we'll have those that are there in the space. They will be doing interviews. We've created a room on the computer to go into to do a private interview. We're working with Jobs of Orlando, Career Source, and many others. So that is going to be tomorrow at also our recreation department. That'll be starting from 10 to 5. You'll be able to enter our virtual job fair and career fair to look for some of the available jobs in the area, and also training. So on that Wednesday, we did not want to forget our youth. So that Wednesday, we've partnered with our Career Source, our recreation department, and our after school all-stars to do a youth job fair honoring Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. And it's called the Lieutenant Deborah Clayton Crime Prevention. This is the 4th one, but this is our first virtual one. And it has a link. As you know, I think our last council, we passed to do internships with Career Source. So they're going to integrate this also in this city job outreach. This is not a District 5 initiative. Neither is the City of Orlando Blueprint Job Fair. That is a whole city initiative. So commissioners, this is open for all of our your constituents also. Some of the businesses that will be taking place tomorrow, of course, is Valencia Community College, UCF. Of course, they have already made an obligation, as you know, Mayor, to hire people from our Paramore 32805 and 32801 zip codes, those that are blighted and all over, but they really want to focus on that. So Valencia is on board. Goodwill Industries, the City of Orlando will be hiring. Global One Networks, KB1 Staffing, Orange County Sheriff Department, Florida Department of Children and Families, Prime Electrical Services, Core Staff Services, the Central Florida Urban League, and Jobs of Orlando. So that will be going on Wednesday. Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, we'll be doing testing again at the Camping World Stadium starting at 9 a.m., I believe. Is it 9 a.m.? From 9 until 2?
9 to 1.
9 to 1, from 9 until 1. And that is, there is a link, a city link, and it's on my page also, where you can sign up for appointment. We do take those walking up and bicycling up along with driving up. So that will be until the tests are all gone. And then on the 11th, I've partnered with Orlando's Magic, the Sports Entertainment District, and the NBA. They are here in town now, as you know, because of COVID, playing basketball, and they have reached out to my office to do COVID-19 testing for the city with their primary focus, which we will be targeting, Mayor, the seniors in Paramore, because many of our seniors have not gotten out and they're afraid to go get testing. And with us having 2 senior complexes directly across the street from the Geico garage, where the testing are being held, we're going to make appointments for the seniors to walk up from across the street to be finally tested. And with that being said, my last announcements is two. We did the mask up as it was stated. We know that masking up save lives, and save folks that you know. I've had a friend that happened to live in Commissioner Bakari Burns' district. Mother died of COVID. Father was incapacitated in the hospital. She had gotten it. Her husband and two brothers. Mother didn't make it. So we really need to continue to reiterate how life-saving these masks are. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Sheehan, Mayor Dyer, Bakari, Commissioner Bakari Burns, and Jasmine Burney, Jason Henry that helped organize the event. You know, it was symbolic, but it did show, I think, the community that we still have a lot of healing and growth to go on both sides. With our Black Lives Matters, Mayor, thank you, Mayor. That has been, highlighted throughout the nation, especially in those Pan-African colors. What a great gesture that was. And we do know, that's why we had the workshop today. We do know that it is a mural, it's art. And art always bring awareness. And the beautiful thing about art is it's subjective, right? But it does start conversation. And we do know that there's other things that need to be implemented, that a sign on a road or a mural on the street or on a wall does not facilitate change. What it does is I think that particular mural piece of art stated that, we want to show our solidarity, and it's became controversial. And I don't know if it's such a bad thing. I think some of these things need to have been unrooted, just like COVID has unrooted our health disparities. That Black Lives Matter sign mural, for me, identified that we still have some race issues, even amongst friends, right? I have some great friends that support me, that are Trump supporters that happen to be Caucasian or happen to, be Black. And but this sign upset a lot of folk, Black and white, in a way I wasn't somewhat ready for. But I know there's dialogue going on, and I know that this is the beginning of healing. And I know this city stands strong, and we always mend our fences. So, I just thank you, Mayor, for being a progressive mayor, right? And always standing up for what's right versus what's popular. So I look forward to some of the systemic changes that we're gonna make because of the climate that we're in, and also folks having understanding. And I really hope that, I agree with Commissioner Ortiz in a sense about, I can get it. That's, if you start talking, one thing you don't do is talk about paramo or talk about nursing in front of me. So I get the sensitivity of that. But for me, this isn't just about law enforcement. This is also about addressing, as you stated, Mayor, some of the other inequities when it comes to, people sitting on boards and access in corporate America, healthcare, housing, jobs, education, and those things. So I'm hoping, that the message don't get lost as, on just reform within law enforcement. I think this conversation, it started with law enforcement, but it's bigger than that, right? I think it's larger than that, and I hope the protesters and activists also understand that nobody like to be beat up and bashed, and then you say do this and do that. There is a not saying that you got to kiss anyone's ring, but in order for all of us to move forward, we have to be respectful and understanding of people's feelings and listen. Even I'm gonna have to practice my listening skills a little bit more. And I think all of us are going to have to listen a little more and say a little bit less, regardless of what color we are. So we can make sure the next generation is better off than where we're at. So with that being said, I won't say I yield my time to Commissioner Burns because I probably took some of yours. But
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Move on to Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Burns.
All right, thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to also congratulate Denise on her retirement. And I'd just like to say thank you, Denise, for being so kind and welcoming to me, one, as a candidate, as I was going through this new process, but also as a commissioner. So you've always been so welcoming and encouraging and kind. So I'd just like to say thank you for your support. And also to Stephanie, congratulations. You've also been there from me being a candidate and help with my onboarding. So I look forward to working with you alongside of you in this new capacity. So congratulations, good luck, and I know you'll do a great job. Also, I just wanted to say thank you, Mayor, for the workshop with Chief Rolone this morning. I think it was a good workshop, a lot of great discussion. One of the things that, we were talking about transparency, as well as, us doing some of the things that were being asked of us. Maybe we want to consider that we put some things on our website, on the city website. And I believe it may be especially key for the 8 Can't Wait information of how we are progressing to being, compliant, if you will, or having all 8 of those in place. So I think that may be an opportunity for us to, again, tell our story and really let everyone know what's happening here in the city of Orlando as it relates to the Orlando Police Department. So I do appreciate Chief Rolone's report. There's a lot of follow-up, a lot of things that still needs to happen. So I look forward to those discussions moving forward. Also, I'd like to commend Lisa Early and the Family Parks and Rec team for working with the community to resolve some of the concerns relating to the use of George Barker Park. The park is interesting. Barker Park is in District 6, but the community that's really impacted is in District 5. So I just like to thank Lisa and her team for putting together a plan that the community has embraced, a plan of action for the proper use of Barker Park, but also allowing the boats and the jet skis the opportunity to go in and use the ramp there. So thank you to Lisa and her team. Also, had the opportunity on June 26th to have a food and mass distribution in conjunction with Representative Bruce Anton. That day we fed over 700 individuals, had a lot of sponsors like Feed the Need, Walmart, Farm Share. So we truly came together and gave out some food and some masks. So thank you for all of that support. Also, as Commissioner Hill mentioned, I'd like to thank her for the 2 joint listening sessions. We had an opportunity to hear directly from some concerned citizens, and I think their input, and it was educational for me, but also it was good that we were able to share some of that information as well. Also, personally, I had a student listening session, and this was a session that was focused on the students, whether they be in middle school, high school, or college. Again, hearing their feedback, getting some ideas around what they would like to see or what they think should happen in our community when we start to address racism, systemic racism, as well as police brutality. And last but not least, I'd just like to let everyone know that July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. And in the wake of the pandemic, the racial injustice, as well as the recent killings of unarmed Black people by the hands of police, we have the potential for increase in the number of people impacted by mental health conditions. So I just want to encourage everyone to seek the mental health, the behavioral health services that you may need, but also encourage our family members and our loved ones to do the same. I know oftentimes in the African American communities, seeking mental health services may not be something that we talk about, but it's something that we must do. So I just encourage everyone, especially during these trying times, to access those services. And with that, Mayor, I complete my updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to apologize to my peers. I'm sorry I missed the majority of the workshop. I had a doctor's appointment that if I rescheduled would be months to replace. So I apologize. I will look at the tape. I did catch some of the end, and I agree with, I think the mayor pointed out, one of the blessings of this council is we have 7 very different points of view and background. And I think that's a great thing so that we can learn from each other. So I look forward to more workshops where we can be open and honest. And that's how we solve our problems and our challenges. So apologies for not being present for the entire presentation. Wanted to also give a quick shout out to Denise and say thank you very much for all she's done for the city. Well done, and you deserve your time to yourself and your family. So thank you, and best of luck to Stephanie. I'm sure she'll fit right in. Last thing I wanted to say real quick was thanks again to our neighbors. We had a All-American parade last weekend in Laureate Park, Lake Nona, and it was organized by some of the residents, funded by Tavistock, and produced by Tim Weber and his group. But it was a great opportunity to have a neighborhood parade. And boy, you talk about getting to meet your neighbors. When you're rolling along the city street at 5 miles an hour, you get to really connect with people. So it was a great community event. And I just wanted to thank all the neighbors out in Laureate Park for hosting that and putting that on. And we finished the evening with fireworks. So it was a good time. So with that, Mayor, I will move the agenda for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Hill. All right, so just before we take this vote, this is where we're cutting off the opportunity to sign up for general appearance. I'm going to give you a minute here. If there's anybody else that wants to sign up for general appearance, go ahead and sign up on the agenda. There's 4 different ways to do that. Madam Clerk, we seem to be good. Okay. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and so the motion carries. Okay, we will move on to, without objection, we'll recess the city council meeting. We'll convene the CRA meeting. Wow. Thomas, you have 8 agenda items, but I think we can dispose of the first 6 fairly quickly. So number 1 is the February 12th CRA Advisory Board minutes. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2 is the May 27th CRA Advisory Board.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3 is the April 13th CRA meeting.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4 is the April 27th CRA meeting minutes.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. 5 is the May 11th CRA meeting
So
minutes.
moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And number 6 is the June 1st CRA meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, Thomas, talk to us about number 7.
Thank you and good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Item number 7 today is approving Minority/Women Entrepreneur Business Assistance Program, or MEBA, as it's known, rent abatement policy update. As you will recall, the Minority Women Entrepreneur Business Assistance Program was created in order to retain minority and female-owned businesses within blighted communities, particularly Paramore, as well as to attract new minority and female-owned businesses to that area. Obviously, these businesses, as have most all businesses, have been adversely impacted based on COVID-19. And so the purpose of this policy update is to allow for MEBA eligible businesses to apply for one component of the MEBA program that already exists, but to extract that program or extrapolate that program insofar as rent subsidies, and allow MEBA eligible businesses to apply for rent subsidies of up to $6,000. Also to allow an abbreviated process of application that is time sensitive based on the need. Again, this is a COVID-19 related process. That abbreviated process would do away with certain normal requirements of the MEBA program. Those in particular are the design action plan, the limitation on the number of MEBA grants allowed, as well as the usual 10% business investment requirements, in addition to the quarterly and annual reports. Again, this is for rental assistance only, and so those components of the usual application program would be waived for this policy update. Additionally, the policy update authorizes the executive director of the CRA to execute these MEBA agreements on behalf of the CRA for a maximum of $6,000 per applicant for rent subsidies only grants made pursuant to this policy update. The advisory board has recommended approval, and if there are no questions, staff is requesting that the CRA approve the MEBA policy update, the form MEBA rent abatement agreement, and authorize the executive director of the CRA to execute MEBA rent abatement agreements on behalf of the CRA for up to $6,000 per applicant, subject to review and approval of the city attorney's office.
So moved.
Second.
Was that Bakari?
Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, Thomas, number 8.
Thank you. Number 8 is approving a downtown commercial and residential building improvement program funding agreement between the CRA and 14 East Washington LL. Property located at 14 East Washington Street in downtown Orlando. Of course, the purpose of this program is to provide assistance to execute physical improvements and building stabilization improvements throughout the entire downtown CRA. The program offers matching funds to offset the cost of eligible improvements. 14 East Washington LLC has applied for assistance for their property at 14 East Washington Street. Funds will be used for stucco repair as well as exterior painting. The program provides an opportunity for the CRA to reimburse up to 50% of the project cost, not to exceed $80,000. The applicant's capital investment for these proposed improvements is estimated at $50,000 based on 3 contractor estimates. Thus, the applicant is eligible for funding assistance of $25,000. May 27th of this year and recommended approval. And again, questions, staff is requesting approval of the downtown commercial building improvement program funding agreement in the CRA, 14 East Washington C, 15 Washington Street, Orlando, subject to review and approval of the city attorney's office and authorization for the chairman of the CRA and executive director to execute that funding.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Burns. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thomas, any further business to come before the CRA?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you.
We will adjourn the CRA and we'll reconvene the city council meeting. And that will bring us to hearings, ordinances on second reading. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2020-20, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located north of Lee Vista Boulevard, east of Conway Road, south of Hoffner Avenue, and west of South Cimarron Boulevard, and comprised of 70.46 acres of land, more or less, and amending the city's boundary description, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as Community Activity Center, Industrial and Conservation on the city's official future land use maps, designating the property as a planned development zoning district with aircraft noise and Cimarron Gateway special plan overlay, and as the conservation zoning district with the aircraft noise overlay on the city's official zoning maps, providing a site plan and special land development regulations for the planned development, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to testify on this matter?
I do not have any requests, Mayor.
Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance 2020-21, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for certain land generally located at the southwest corner of West Princeton Street and North John Young Parkway, comprised of 71.56 acres of land, more or less, from conservation to urban activity center in part, urban activity center to conservation in part, residential low intensity to residential medium intensity in part, and residential low intensity to conservation in part, establishing a new sub-area policy for the same property to preserve the conservation areas on the property and to provide a maximum development program, changing the property zoning designation from holding to urban activity center in part and conservation in part, and from planned development to medium intensity development in part and conservation in part, all with the Wekiva Overlay Zoning District, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and effective date.
Commissioner Hill?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Madam Clerk, is there anyone from the public that has indicated they want to testify?
Yes, Mayor, I have 3 requests to speak for this item. The first up is Kimberly Bukite. Ms. Bukite, if you could state your name and address for the record, you'll have 5 minutes to speak. I have an address on file for her form of 252 Spring Run Circle.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Kim Bukite, 252 Spring Run Circle, Longwood. I'm a professional land surveyor licensed in the state of Florida, and my firm has been located in Central Florida for nearly 30 years. I'm an independent consultant, and I serve as a qualified expert on cases involving surveying and mapping. I've been speaking in opposition to the approval of this project and ultimately this ordinance 2020-21 since I first became aware of the project. I would like to start my remarks with a quote that embodies my intentions today. I speak these words to recognize and honor the community activism efforts of Dr. Lisa Jones, who has inspired me. This is from a talk that Robert F. Kennedy gave in June of 1961. Quote, "Laws can embody standards, governments can enforce laws, but the final task is not a task for government. It is the task for each and every one of us. Every time we turn our heads the other way when we see the law flouted, when we tolerate what we know to be wrong, when we close our eyes and ears to the corrupt because we are too busy or too frightened, when we fail to speak up and speak out, we strike a blow against freedom and decency and justice." End quote. On numerous occasions, I have called the city's attention to the existence of 44.59 acres of Tier 1 protected wetlands on this site. The Tier 1 protected wetland designation is the City of Orlando's own criteria and is documented and memorialized in the most current version of your own land development code conservation elements. The location and extent of the 44.59 acres of protected wetlands on this site are defined and quantified by an official formal wetland determination approved by St. John's River Water Management District dated June 28th, 2019. Yes, that's just last year. Not 25 years ago, as I have heard some of you indicate that you believe. Nonetheless, staff has opted to ignore the Tier 1 protected wetlands designation for this site. This error, or perhaps oversight, results in a plan to destroy a net area of approximately 9.5 acres of protected wetlands on this site. I understand that as elected officials, it is certainly your prerogative to make a political decision whenever you deem it necessary. However, I personally believe that the City Council owes the citizens the truth. In this case, and in the case of other nearby properties, it appears that your decisions to approve destruction of protected wetlands have been based on politics and/or economics rather than your duty to uphold the law, particularly the City of Orlando's own land development code and policy. Approval of a project like this provides a perfect example of how protections on sensitive lands have become an inconvenience that can be undone simply if the price is right. Witnessing this type of action erodes the public trust. And so I fully expect all of you to approve this development today. Sadly, with the remote format, you will not even have to look any of us in the eye as you do it. But here we are. And if this is the best that we can do, and I've heard that the goal is to save one little 35-acre patch of the remaining forested wetland in the city of Orlando that feeds our cherished Wekiva River. If that's all it is, we'll have to settle for it. Should you approve this project today, and I hope you're going to approve it if so, subject to the donation and protection of the 35 acres of wetlands that are pledged, I will commit to finding a way to make lemonade out of lemons. The City of Orlando Sustainability Director Chris Castro and Project Manager Daniel Friedline and other entities know that I have been actively involved in promoting that these wetlands become part of the City of Orlando's environmental education program. Should that be realized, I will be pleased that our collective efforts have had some impact in producing a somewhat positive outcome. Perhaps other projects will follow suit in order to have even more meaningful results for future generations. Looking at the bright side, I can only hope that that will be the case. Thank you very much.
Mayor.
Commissioner Hill.
Yes, thank you for your comment, Ms. Pritchett. Kimberly, if that's fine to call you that. I'm glad to know that you've reached out to Chris Castro and Daniel, who I work with intimately when it comes to our Greenworks department in my district, in our district. I look forward to meeting with you. I think that is an awesome plan. If we vote on this today, of course, you heard me vote to approve, and it was second by Commissioner Sheehan. And after the vote, I think that is a fantastic idea to put some type of conservation program in place for our kids to learn more about wetlands. Even so if you want to do that, I am in full support.
All right, Madam Clerk, who is the next speaker?
Mayor, next up is Lawana Gelzer. Ms. Gelzer, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Dr. Jones actually got hooked up. Can we switch our order, yes or no? Can you hear me?
Madam Clerk, is the other speaker Dr. Jones?
I can hear you, Lawana, and you were up before her.
Because it got sent in before me because it was a cross-up and she had to call the clerk and get it fixed. But
I'm okay if Dr. Jones testifies first. That's fine.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer.
Dr. Jones, are you on the line? We can't identify you by your phone number.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Hello? Can you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I am frankly amazed to hear that Commissioner Hill supports the idea of an environmental center 5 years after I suggested it before any of
Dr.
these
Jones,
wetland
go ahead and state your name and address for the record.
Dr. Lisa Jones, 51 East Jefferson Street, Orlando. as that is something that I suggested to this council back in September of 2015. And that was when there was much more wetland forest available to be able to use as an education, not only use the Northwest Center as a place where we could have classrooms and a launching site, but a greater amount of wetlands for the young people to be able to learn about the environment and wetlands and green jobs. So amazing that it wasn't acceptable to have over 200 acres available for an environmental center, but it is acceptable to have just 36 of those available. So I find that interesting. Since August 2015, I've been speaking on behalf of the residents of the community located at WD Judge Road and Mercy Drive. Each time I've spoken to the Municipal Planning Board or Orlando City Council or participated in a quasi-judicial appeal, I have been speaking on behalf of a predominantly African-American community upon whom this council has consistently been engaging in acts of environmental racism and discrimination as they consistently approve destruction of the forest that is from protecting this community. This community has repeatedly, let me emphasize repeatedly, told this council and its developer cronies, no, we do not want our health and lives placed in jeopardy by the removal of the forest in our neighborhood that is protecting our air quality and therefore our lives. We have told you this in as many ways as is legally possible, including writing a bill to protect these wetlands. In order to protect these wetlands, the city of Orlando and the developer sent people to Tallahassee to encourage legislators to end the bill while it was still in committee. And of course, that happened. No means no. Isn't that what we tell the males in our society when it comes to how they should interact with women? Well, it also applies to the city officials that we vote for and expect to represent our best interest, not your best interest, our best interest. And this council has ignored the very loud no's spoken by this community and done nothing to represent this community's best interest. The destruction of the Little Wekiva River headwaters, wetlands, and wetland forests in which Don Mealy Subaru wants to engage will lead to a decline in health and even death for some people in this community if this ordinance is approved. According to Harvard University, coronavirus symptoms are frequently more deadly in victims that live in areas with poor air quality. The Mercy Drive WD Judge Road community's air quality is ranked in the 78th percentile by the EPA. Good air quality is in the 1st through 10th percentile. This is an indicator that any residents in this area, an area in which the number of people testing positive for coronavirus is doubling each week, any of those residents who are infected by the coronavirus may die due to the poor air quality they are experiencing through the forced exposure to air pollutants that is being facilitated by the City Council. Approval of this ordinance at this second hearing will result in harm to this community and the destruction of the last forest in Orlando. Don Mealy Subaru is joining Nancy Rossman, Moses Salacito of CNL Financial's Foundry Commercial, Alex Kiss of Banyan Development, Dr. Philip Charities, and the City of Orlando in engaging in one of the most egregious and large-scale acts of environmental racism, environmental injustice, and racial discrimination in Orlando's history. If this council votes yes on this, it is engaging in systematic racism and slow genocide. Commissioner Hill is likely going to talk about how we should be grateful that Subaru might preserve 36 acres of this 70 plus acres of wetlands, which will only further prove her absolute lack of knowledge and interest in really protecting this community. Keyword is might. They may still change their minds. And the most important point is that they are conserving only 36 acres of what was once nearly 400 acres of wetland forest and wetlands feeding water into both the Little Wekiva and the main Wekiva rivers and the Wekiva Spring itself. Some may see this as a start and as a victory. This is only 11% of hundreds of acres of wetland forest that has been protecting this community for decades. If this council really cares about the people of this community and really wants to begin to even partially look like a green city, this council will vote no on this ordinance today, and steps will be taken to conserve all 77 acres of this wetland forest and aquifer recharge site for the Wekiva Spring. Don Mealy Subaru, rather than destroying this wetland, should donate all of the acreage to the land trust, not a token portion. To do otherwise would prove to the public that Don Mealy Subaru and Orlando City Council wholeheartedly embrace environmental racism against Orlando's African American community, as this type of activity would never be done in Orlando's white neighborhoods. In 2015, I asked Mayor Dyer why he was putting an industrial warehouse in my community. He replied, because that is where we always put them. Considering all of the evidence around the region, country, and world showing how industrial businesses harm the residents living around industrial businesses, voting yes on this ordinance today demonstrates that Mayor Buddy Dyer, Don Neely Subaru, and the City Council do not believe that the lives of Black people matter. Thank you.
All right, next speaker, please.
Luana Gelzer is up next. Ms. Gelzer, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Luana Gelzer, 7674 St. Stephen's Court, Orlando, zip 32835. Thank you, Mayor Dyer, for letting Dr. Jones go, because I didn't want to repeat stuff because she is an expert in this. We started out with 400 acres, and now we might be able to save 36 acres. Might, because the key factor is if they choose to change their mind, there's nothing to hold them accountable. And making sure that we even have this supposedly plan to conserve those particular wetlands. I've constantly heard that the wetlands were weak or all kinds of things. But one thing I have to say, with the movement and what is going on, the policies and the procedures, especially when it comes to the city of Orlando, when it comes to environmental racism, environmental injustice, is true. You do not care about people of color. You say Black Lives Matter, but your action speaks otherwise. When you're held accountable, you go and hide or you do something else to redirect or try to say, we don't understand what is going on. We do. So the footprint is the impact of a person or a community on the environment. And the bottom line is, this country, this world has been here a lot longer than what we will be. But the impact and your footprint is to destroy wetlands. 500 trees, 2,000 trees, it doesn't matter. But it seems to be something we're having to deal with in our community of color. When Dr. Jones talked about the air and poor air quality, is anybody going to help the people that live in those communities with flood insurance? Because they've been told to get flood insurance. Poor air quality is something we are dealing with in the Paramore community. Now, she said 70%, 76%. We're in the 98th percentile. We have watched you avoid doing a health disparity study. We know what COVID can do when you have bad air quality in a community. We understand what is going on. You're saying one thing about transparency, that you want to make changes, that you care, but your policies and your vote indicate otherwise. So environmental justice is not something that you're all about, but for a selected group. Systemic racism is what we're talking about. Because I know, unlike you, City of Orlando, you're not new to this. And it's not something you are saying, oh, for the first time we're hearing this. You've been hearing this from us for years. For me, for at least 8 years, when I dealt with the Superfund site in the Paramore community, which is now deemed the coffin, a 200 feet coffin, 65 feet down in the ground, which you are a responsible party for. You didn't want to do any type of education when we brought examples. Let's educate the community on what they need to do. Everything we suggested to make it a healthy community, to work with civic engagement, you've chose to do something totally different. And what you chose to do is PR. Make sure nobody believe what they're saying and believe what we're saying, because we know what's best for us. And I always remind everybody, see, I know civic engagement. I understand the 3 branches of government. You're a public servant and you work for me, the citizens of Orlando. And for some apparent reason, you got it backwards based on your behavior and your votes. And your votes is more important to make sure the car dealership gets what they want. You build apartments, you build industrial parks, you do whatever you need to do, and you make the vote. And then, unfortunately, because we're dealing with COVID-19, but you know what, Mayor Day and the rest of y'all, it wouldn't matter if we were there or not. We've been there. We've been there talking about this. You just don't care about Black people living in a Black community. And I call it systemic racism, because it would never happen. Because clearly I've seen over the years, you can spend $6 million for a tree. You can be over budget for a whole lot of things, but your actions is what we're saying. you're being held accountable for. So I know you're going to vote against the people because, of course, we got to make sure our economics people are concerned, and we need this car dealership, and it's wheat lines. You can go on and on. Systemic racism is alive and well. And for those who can hear my voice, don't let up on what is going on in Orlando. Hold them accountable, because when you look at their history, they say one thing, they do another. And what they have done to communities of color is a tragedy. It's wrong, it's deserving, and we have to do better. So I ask you, hold them accountable. Don't believe the hype. Hold them accountable. Thank you.
Sorry, I had muted myself. All right, so discussion among commissioners.
Mayor, I have three hands that were raised during this ordinance. I have three. I have James Johnston. Mr. Johnston, if you could state your name and address for the record, you'll have 5 minutes. If you do not speak on the ordinance that we're discussing, you'll be muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Johnston with Schutz and Bowen, 300 South Orange Avenue, actually on behalf of the applicant. So I would prefer, if possible, to go at the end after the other comments have gone.
I think that's fair. Madam Clerk, you said you had two others?
Yes, I have Miles Moraine Jr. Mr. Moraine, if you could state your name and address for the record, you'll have 5 minutes. If you do not speak on the ordinance that we're discussing, you'll be muted.
I'll go ahead and wait for the next topic then. I'm sorry.
Okay, next I have Veronica Boehm. Ms. Boehm, you'll have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. If you do not speak on the ordinance we're discussing, you'll be muted.
Hello, my name is Veronica Boehm. My full address is 1512 Florinda Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32804. I just wanted to say that I agree with Ms. Gelzer and with Dr. Jones that this should not be passed at all. And that if this were to pass, it would fundamentally align the commission and the mayor with systemic racism and environmental racism. I want to speak specifically to my commissioner, Commissioner Stewart, who is able to vote on this today, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Ms. Boehm, you need to just address the council, not single out a single member.
Okay, I'm just saying in terms of the commissioner who is supposed to represent me, that we've had a good relationship and a good dialogue talking back and forth specifically related to environmental issues in our district. And I would hope that, and even you, Mayor Dyer, that we've had discussions about trees, right, in the community that you also live in with me, that I believe we're neighbors. That I just want to say that I hope we can have that same driving force and energy and dedication to a tree in the neighborhood that we would to wetlands that would just totally decimate an entire population. That I believe the word genocide was used by Dr. Jones, and I do believe that was an appropriate word, and I echo her sentiments. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
All right, the speaker from Schutz and Bowen.
Mr. Johnson, please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Johnston, Schutz and Bowen, 300 South Orange Avenue in Orlando. I'll be quick. This process started back in September with the MPB meeting. We have gone through, a very thorough staff review, including outside environmental consultant for the city. The recommended approval of the comp plan and rezoning and the other items related to the application. This was appealed. We went through the hearing officer process in December. Hearing officer heard a full day of testimony and recommended to follow the NPB recommendation. We had our GMP appeal in front of City Council last month, and the same issues were raised. And City Council voted to deny the appeal and we are now here on the second reading of the ordinance. And so we would just ask that the ordinance as presented be approved today. And we appreciate everyone's time on this matter.
All right. Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, Madam Clerk, number 3.
Ordinance 2020-25, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to create future land use subarea policy S.24.8 for certain land generally located south of Millennium Boulevard, west of South John Young Parkway, and east of Interstate 4, comprised of 2.36 acres of land, more or less, providing for amendment of growth management plan, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on this matter?
I do not have any requests to speak, Mayor.
Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2020-26, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Millennium Park Plan Development Zoning District, providing for additional conditions, providing that prior ordinance still in effect, providing for permit disclaimer, correction of scrivener's errors, severability, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Burns. Is there anyone that would like to testify on this matter, Madam Clerk?
I do not have any request, Mayor.
Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 5.
Ordinance 2020-28, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located north of Silver Star Road, west of John Young Parkway, and east of Clemson Road, and addressed as 2727 Silver Star Road, and comprised of 0.485 acres of land, more or less, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as industrial on the city's official future land use maps, designating the property as industrial commercial with the Wekiva Overlay District on the city's official zoning maps, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Hill. Anybody want to testify on this one?
Mayor, I have 2 speaker requests for this ordinance. Dr. Jones. Ms. Jones, if you could state your name and address for the record, you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. My name is Dr. Jones, address 51 East Jefferson Street, Orlando. We have more than enough industrial sites over here near the Mercy Drive area. The placement, the annexation, and then rezoning of the over here on W.D. Judge Drive, they took out 60 acres of Wekiva wetland forest. That and putting an industrial warehouse right in the middle of this neighborhood. All of the other industrial sites that were placed here prior to that warehouse being permitted to be placed there. It's just one, if you look at a map, and again, I've already stated in my previous comment, Mayor Dyer said that's where you always put them. And if you look at a land use map of Orlando, it is true. The African-American communities in the city of Orlando are surrounded by, or either surrounded by industrial places, businesses, or they're placed directly in the middle of the African-American community. Yet when you look at the white communities, that's not the case. So I am opposed to this ordinance because of the fact that it's just opening the opportunity to put another industrial site in the Black community when we already have way too many as it is. The loss of the wetlands, that not only the Princeton wetlands, but the possible loss of other wetlands to Banyan Development, more wetlands to Foundry Commercial, the loss of the 100 plus acres to Dr. Phillips Charities in the city of Orlando. All of those were wetland forests that were helping to protect the area surrounding it. That was thousands of trees that were absorbing pollutants from all of the semi-trucks that are already going into the industrial sites that are currently in place here. And those particulates that come out of diesel exhaust are carcinogenic. That's been found by international scientists, the World Health Organization. So we've lost, Dr. Phillips and is 110 acres, 60 acres from Foundry Commercial. We've already lost 170 acres. You all just approved the loss of another 30 something. Previously, another 22 was approved, and the back 60 for Foundry Commercial. So that's leaving absolutely nothing here nothing here to protect this community or to protect the people who live within the headwaters of the Little Wekiva River from the pollution that will come from yet another industrial site. So I've already made my case in terms of the fact that, again, this isn't happening in white communities. It's only happening in this community. It's already happened in Paramore. Mercy Drive was protected up until the time that the current commissioner came into office. And then after that, all hell broke loose. So we don't want another industrial site over here. We don't want this land annexed. We would like to actually see more of the land that is still available turned into conservation area, because COVID-19 isn't going anywhere. And if you all have read anything about the research done in Harvard, done over in Europe, scientists have been finding that the worse the air quality, the more likely that people who get COVID-19 the more likely that they're going to have the severe symptoms and possibly even die. African Americans already have multiple comorbidities such as diabetes, high blood pressure, especially in lower income areas such as the Mercy Drive area, that makes them more vulnerable to getting COVID. And currently, there is simply not enough testing going on over in this area in terms of determining who is positive for coronavirus and who isn't. So for all we know, we could have a cluster that happens here, and then all of the industrial sites that are, have semi-trucks going in and out of them are simply adding to the pollution that is further compromising people's respiratory systems in this area. And we have a lot of senior citizens in this area. Many people who bought here decades ago, they loved it because of the forest, because we were located in the Wekiva headwaters, and they anticipated dying here and leaving the houses to their kids. But now, with the destruction of the forest, all they have to leave to their kids are industrial sites, industrial warehouses, industrial areas where semi-trucks are coming in and out. Princeton Oaks all by itself is anticipating having 750 semi-trucks coming in and out of this warehouse every single day, if they're allowed to build the other 5. So that must mean right now they have half of that, 350 semi-trucks going in and out every day, going through the African-American neighborhood, driving down our streets, exposing our senior citizens and our children to carcinogenic particles. So since you just voted to get rid of another portion of the Wekiva forest, hopefully you all will maybe consider voting no on this, putting making it possible for another industrial business to put an industrial site right next to the African-American community over here in Mercy Drive, further compromising our health and well-being. I have no clue. I think with the city council, I have 8 seconds, sir, on the screen. You just took up my 8 seconds. On my screen, I had 8 seconds. So I'd like to finish what I was saying. Just 8 seconds, please. So basically, you're gonna just wanted to, you threw me off in my 8 seconds. Essentially, voting to put being able to put another business there is not going to benefit the Black community. It is just going to harm them. Thank you.
Mayor Dyer.
Before we go on, Madam Clerk, my screen showed that she was done about 40 seconds ago.
Absolutely.
So is there a difference between what the non-panelists are seeing?
There shouldn't be if they're logged in and they're watching what we're watching. But if they're watching from a computer that's different than what they're speaking to, then there is a lag. So it's possible that there was a lag.
Okay.
May I speak, Mayor Dyer, really quick? I know it's not my district, but I must say, because we do have new viewers and that really want to be a part of the process. And I just think it's irresponsible to give information to folks that might not be aware of the process. Well, we all know this particular vote lies in District 3. and it is miles away from Mercy Drive, that it does not sit in a Black community, that it sits there on Silver Star and OBT, Princeton area, and Silver Star, which for decades, at least 50 years, I know, that has been an industrial area. The only thing that we're doing this is a parking lot, by God. This is not the wetlands. This does not head off any waterways. It is a parking lot at a trucking company. I can understand people being passionate, but let's be honest. Let's not distort the truth, because we do have some activists that's on here now, and we want them to be engaged, and I want them to be informed, but I also want them to understand the truth. We have to be mindful who tell us things and what their agenda is. I would say that you guys continue to stay engaged and research for yourself, and do not become a pawn in someone else's agenda. But I can assure you, this is not wetlands. This is not in Mercy Drive. It's about 5 miles away from Mercy Drive. This is North OBT by the white folks.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. All right, Madam Clerk, you said we had one other request.
Yes, Mayor, we have Lawana Gelzer. Ms. Gelzer, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Lawana Gelzer, 7674. I'm sorry. Hello? Lawana Gelzer, 7674, St. Stephen's Court, Orlando, 32835. Reading what is on the agenda for all our listening audience that have done their own research, it says 2727 Silver Star Road, west of John Young. And literally that is in the community. What my concern is you're annexing, and it's only a 0.485 acres, but it's going straight to future land use. And when you add everything up, whether it's in District 5 in Mercy Drive or District 3 next to College Park, it was all wetlands before you built anything there in the first place. So it's not about 50 years ago, it's about what was there before man came and decided to make changes. That's why I talked about footprint, the footprint of what we are doing as man. This will be damaging our economy, damaging our environment for years to come. It's not about what happens today, it's what the effects will be years from now. The effects from the vote that is being made and how we destroyed almost 350 acres, 70 acres at one time, 120 acres at one time, 36 acres. It's systematically, you have taken away the wetlands, regardless of what the street and the boundaries are. So for the listening audience that normally could come and watch us, we have been fighting this battle because we're dealing with COVID-19, we're dealing with poor air quality, and you don't have to rely on anybody but yourself to do your research. You can do what civic engagement is all about. And that's what the problem is. A mask is not going to protect our community from what is about to happen. It's not the parking lot. It's all of the things that has been done by this council over the years to destroy the wetlands. It's a combination of all. So when Dr. Jones or I speak, we have followed the pattern. And the pattern is you say one thing and you do another. Systemic racism is alive and well. Environmental injustice on communities of color, especially Black people, is alive and well when it comes to the city of Orlando. If you don't want to wear that badge, stop doing what you're doing. Change your behavior. Make sure all people are being treated equally. And what people don't talk about is the impact of what's going to happen with all of these industrial parks coming to a community. And you have all of these business, the Black wealth, our homes, it devalues your property. So now you don't have property that no one wants to buy. So even if you want to leave it to your children, it's not worth as much as it could have been if it was located somewhere else. And like Dr. Jones have said, and like I have seen, whatever they can do to our communities of color, they have done. So that's what systemic racism is. That's the policy, whether you do it here or anywhere else, but it's being done to us here in America. It's been done to us here in Orlando. That is the problem, your voting patterns. Because when people do their research, they will see this would never be allowed on the east side of town. That is what we're talking about. So clearly you need to understand this is a long process. It's not not even a half an acre. It's the process that we have questioned over the years. And so, Mayor Dyer, I've been told because of my civic engagement and me coming before city council, I guess this is me talking on my behalf on the citizens that I happen to know that can't make it. That is the reason why certain people don't want to meet with individuals like myself. That's what we were told from Reginald McGill. Civic engagement is my right to speak on these issues because it affects us in a negative way. If you don't like what we're saying, change your behavior. Air quality is important for all of us. But you won't care until you see more of us dying, more impact, and more people dying from the impact of COVID. We're telling you, these people have the knowledge. Dr. Jones have the degrees to back up what she's saying. So you got individuals telling her that she don't understand what's going on. Clearly, you don't want to hear the truth. And what my late father used to say all the time, people don't want to hear the truth because the truth hurts. Systemic racism, environmental racism is alive and well when it comes to the city of Orlando. Stop treating us differently. Black lives matter. Thank you.
Okay, and just for the record, there's a ton of industrial property on the east side in Commissioner Ortiz's district and Commissioner Gray's district. There's industrial in Commissioner Sheehan's district, just south of downtown Orlando. So there's industrial in different locations all over the city of Orlando, not just on the west side. So just have a little truth mixed in.
Mayor, I
Yes.
have 3 hands that were raised during this ordinance. In addition to the 2 speakers we just heard.
If they weren't already in during the course of that, we'll move on. They can speak during general appearance.
Okay.
All right, discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 6, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2020-36, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending and restating the land development regulations of the South Orange Medical Complex Plan Development for certain land generally located west of South Orange Avenue, south of West Harding Street, north of West Muriel Street, and comprised of 1.20 acres of land, providing for amendment of the city's official zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So move.
Commissioner Sheehan.
Commissioner Sheehan?
I moved it. Oh, shoot.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Any requests for testimony on this one, Madam Clerk?
No request, Mayor.
Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, and ordinance is on first read, number 1, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2020-40, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending and restating regulations of the South Orange Medical Complex Plan Development for certain land generally located west of South Orange Avenue, south of West Harding Street, north of West Muriel Street, and comprised of 1.20 acres of land, providing for amendment of the city's official zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and effective date. So that's what my ordinance says. That's not what's on the agenda.
No, this is a renaming for Tom Williams Way.
Right.
All right, you have to give me a minute to get the title for that because I just have a duplicate of 36 titled 40.
I thought we just did that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so strike that reading.
I planned this for my last reading, by the way.
You're muted, Denise.
They're yelling at me. Oh, geez. Okay. Is it big enough? Here. Okay, let's try this again. Right. Okay. Ordinance 2020-40, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to a street name change, renaming the westerly portion of Major Boulevard as described in the plat Universal City, Florida, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 35, page 84 of the Public Records of Orange County, Florida, generally located west of Kirkman Road and east of Universal Boulevard to Tom Williams Way, directing amendments to the official maps of the City of Orlando, Florida, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Did you have any speakers on this, Madam Clerk?
No speakers, Mayor.
Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. And that's the conclusion of the scheduled business for City Council. PJ, would you let me know when we can proceed with